Sometimes, if we've lived alone all our lives, or if we're newly divorced or newly widowed, our homes can feel like big open spaces, and the hours we spend in them can feel like a big open void filled with loneliness. And we start creating patterns to fill our time and fill that empty space. And I want to share with you today 3 mistakes that I made living alone and what I've done to correct those mistakes. So I'm going to start right here in my kitchen with my breakfast routine. I've got my morning oats, Greek yogurt, granola that I've made myself, and there's a video for it, and fresh berries. And I put them all in here last night. Now, in the past, I may have just taken the top off, gotten my spoon, and dug in. But I want to show you something I've started doing instead. This is my mother's china. Last week I showed you the china that belonged to my grandmother's, and this is my mother's, and it's beautiful. And it always sat in a cupboard, break front, and it was never used except at Christmas time. So when I moved in here to Black Bear Cottage, I said, I'm going to start using this every day. So now when I get my Greek yogurt out, my morning oats, I take the extra step of putting it on a nice plate because I'm worth it, and so are you. And I want to share something else I did. A lot of times when we live in a space of our own, especially if we are living there by ourselves, we tend to keep it as impersonal as possible, almost as if we're afraid to offend a visitor who might come and see our home and judge us by what we display. I was certainly that way. And I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you another change I've made. I have a teddy bear collection. That's one reason why my home is called Black Bear Cottage. The other reason is, of course, because Newfoundland dogs, which I have adopted and lived with for the last 15 years, are often called bears. But I was always embarrassed by my teddy bear collection and used to keep it hidden away in, a spare bedroom or something. And then I decided to just display it because, you know what? I'm here by myself 99.99% of the time. And that 0.001% of the time that somebody comes into my home, well, they're probably a friend of mine. And if they know me, well, hopefully they'll understand my love of teddy bears. And if they don't, then too bad. But the point is that I think we need to treat the places that we live like our homes, like a reflection of who we are and who we want to be. And stop treating our homes like waiting rooms, like places where we're just waiting for something to happen, waiting for a man or a woman or a child or a new job or a new something to fill our lives. Life is happening now in this moment, and we can't wait any longer. And that's what I have really been motivated by as I have spent time creating a home here. I waited all my life for this home. And now I am taking time to do little things like buy a seasonal candle for each season. I have a pink one burning right now that I bought for spring and summer. And I've already chosen one I'll buy for autumn. You know, little things like that. I put up my Christmas tree now on November 1st, so I'll get to enjoy it more because I love Christmas. So I think that's important. We need to treat our lives as the precious events that they are. So mistake number one is stop allowing your home to be a waiting room and make it your home. Okay? Now, the second mistake I was making is right here. We're going to turn around, and there's my TV. And you see it's just has that screen that means the TV isn't actually on. But I want to share something with you. For years, just years, I used to, as soon as I got up in the morning, I would turn the TV on while I was making coffee and just to have something in the background. I mean, half the time, because I was in the kitchen making coffee, I couldn't actually hear what was going on, but I just wanted to have this noise. I just wanted to have a human voice. In fact, at one point, I remember when I was younger, in my younger adulthood, I had 5 TVs, one in every room, and including my bedroom, and I slept with the TV on because I was afraid of waking up and having silence, because I knew that if I woke up in the middle of the night with silence, all the things I was worried about would come to my mind and I'd never be able to get back to sleep. So I slept with this constant background noise. But what I've noticed in the past year is there will still be times when I turn on the news while I'm making coffee. But more often than not, I noticed that instead of listening to the news, I started turning on music. And because, they're on YouTube, there's music channels. And so I just put on soft music, like soft jazz or soft classical music in the background, just something mindless. And I would keep that on while I was doing my devotions and doing my morning writing of my novel. And then just in the past month or two, I've noticed that I've, I guess, graduated to just having the blank screen, but having silence. And I really enjoy it. It's enough for me to be alone with my own thoughts. I don't feel that void or that loneliness anymore. So that was mistake number 2, was I was filling my home with noise because I was drowning out my own thoughts. And there's a scripture, be still and know that I am God. I was filling my mind and my home with noise because I was afraid that in the stillness, I would just give in to worry. God tells us, be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that you can trust God with whatever's going on in your life and with the silence of your thoughts. Okay, that's mistake number 2. And mistake number 3, and this is a big one, because this has to do with a trap we can easily fall into when we live alone. And that is, especially if you're an introvert like me, and that is the trap of never leaving your home. I did that. Being an introvert, it's so easy for me to go an entire week without leaving the house, except to walk Fawny, of course, without talking to anybody in person. Maybe only texting, maybe 1 or 2 phone calls during the entire week, and they were incoming phone calls. And I actually had to remind myself at the end of the week, Suzanne, you have not left the house in 5 days. Suzanne, you haven't spoken to anyone in 5 days. And you know, there's some very good reasons to leave the house. We need social connections. Even if we live alone, even if we love our own company, we still need social connection, especially after the age of 60, especially as we're aging. But it doesn't happen magically. I remember when I moved here to Black Bear Cottage, I went to church every Sunday for a year. And at the end of 1 year, I didn't know anyone in my church. And it really bothered me because when I lived in Colorado, I knew a good group of friends in the church. But upon reflection, I knew those people because they were extroverts and they reached out to me. And I guess I expected that to happen again here, and it didn't. So what I'm saying is that sometimes you have to make the effort. In my case, here with my church, what happened was I discovered that my church has a book club that meets every week or every other week, and on Wednesdays. And so I started going. And of course, when the first few times I went, I didn't know anybody. And I just kind of sat there and looked at everyone. And, you know, I think one woman approached me, Mary. She's a lovely woman. But nobody else really spoke to me. But what happened was, over the weeks, when we started discussing the book that we were reading, and I would say something that I thought was interesting about the book, because of course, I love to read, people began to acknowledge me, and I acknowledged them, and slowly we learned each other's names. And then the following Saturday, when I went to Mass in the evening, or Sunday when I went in the morning, I would see those same people, and they would say hello to me, and I would say hello to them. And once in a while, one of them would ask me to go out for lunch. So the point is that we really need social connection, especially if we live alone, and especially over the age of 60. It's good for our cognitive health. It's good for our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, everything. It's good for aging. But it also increases the quality of our lives. And so my mistake of being such a little hermit and never leaving the house was only overcome when I made the effort and said to myself, okay, once a week I will leave the house and I will make an effort to meet people. So those are my 3 mistakes and how I overcame them. So mistake number 1, don't treat your house like a waiting room. Treat your house as a home, a reflection of a place that you want to live. you want to live. Number 2, don't be afraid of silence. Silence can be comforting and it can be creative. I think I do my best writing when there's no music and certainly no TV in the background, because then it's just my mind. So don't be afraid of silence. And 3, remember, don't let your solo life become a cell. Remember, even when you live alone, you are still part of a larger community. So these were 3 mistakes I made. And now I'd like you to tell me, which of these 3 mistakes are you making and what are you going to do about it? And this is the first episode in a 2-part series. Next week, or the next video, I'm going to tell you 3 good things I've been doing that have helped me live a richer life living alone. Okay? Now listen, as always, thank you for being here. Please leave a comment, please subscribe, and God bless you. God bless you in every aspect of your life. And I can't wait to see you again next week. Goodbye.